Ronaldo 27 on. Give me a second, people. Let me bring him on here. Yes, Ronaldo, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Michelle. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good. So first things first, you would obviously Ronaldo is the burner name, so you don't have to use your government name. But where you calling from?
Well, I'm actually calling from Jamaica. You see me in my Calabar shirt here.
No, we rep warmers and warmers only on the Caribbean.
All right, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
All right. I just have about 3 questions. I've been watching all your videos, and recently you made a video about the openers. I saw you touched on Solozano. I saw you touched on Mikhail Louis and a couple others, but I didn't hear any mention of Kieran Powell. And before you stop me there, I just want to say Kieran, he's played 3 matches. He's a senior statesman now. He's looked very good in those 3 games. He played a brilliant innings. I am saying, what do you think Kieran could do in the next couple of rounds to be considered? I'm not saying he should be selected to go to England, but what could he do? Like, we need to give him a criteria. I don't think it's fair to say because he's 34, because he's 35, he's out of contention. Can't we say, oh, Kieran, I needed to score 300s in the next 4 innings, and they go to England? What do you think they would be looking at in order for Kieran to have a slight chance to be considered for selection?
So here's what I'm gonna. Everyone already in the comments saying no, but do you know what? I'm gonna try and defend you here because Kieran Powell domestically is actually very consistent, right? The last time he got selected, I believe, was the South Africa series in 2021.
I
think he made a 50 in one of those test matches. And then he got dropped, right? Now, I'm just going to read out some stats for people, just because people will be like, how dare Ronaldo? So I'm going to keep calling you Ronaldo. How dare Ronaldo bring up Kieran Powell? Right, so far in this year's West Indies Championship, he's averaging 39, right, with 1 century and 150. In the Super 50 last year, I know it's a different format of cricket, but we're just talking domestic numbers. In Super 50 last year, he averaged 35 with 250s, 8 innings. In the West Indies Championship last year, the one before this one, he averaged 35 in 10 innings, 100, 250s. In the West Indies Championship before that one, he averaged 58, 100, 250s from 8 innings. As consistency goes, there'll be no opener domestically as consistent as Kieran Powell. Somebody who over the last 3 seasons, including this one, has always averaged at mid-30s at the lowest, high 30s at the highest, obviously a 50 a couple of seasons ago. Now, what people will say is that Kieran Powell has been given too many chances internationally, right? So his international test career, where is it? Let me find it. Can't even find it. Right, he averages 26 after 44 test matches, 300s, 750s. So people will say that he's had his chance. He shouldn't get recalled again. But here's where I defend you. Beggars can't be choosers, right? If your established opener, this being Tayshaun Chanderpaul, looks horrendously out of form, and the person domestically who is putting up runs is Kieran Powell, then he should be in the conversation. So if Kieran Powell, so let's call some openers: Tayshaun Chanderpaul, Solozano, Mikhail Louis, who shouldn't be in the conversation, and Zachary McCaskey, right? Those are probably the 4 in the conversation. And let's put Powell as number 5. There's 2 more rounds left, so round 6 and round 7. If Powell scored a century in both rounds, he'd probably end up as the top run-scoring opener in the domestic championship. He has to be in the conversation. I'm not saying that means he goes back into the West Indies team, but if you're thinking about, right, who goes as backup in case the person who opens with Craig doesn't hit form, because it's a 3-match test series, right? Sometimes people can be guilty of saying you've got to look past older players to look for youth, just for the sake of looking for youth. But if the youth aren't better than the older players, then what are you picking youth for? Australia have Usman Khawaja opening at 37 years old. They don't need to look for a youth man. They're just playing whoever's good.
Exactly.
So that's me trying to defend you. If Powell was listening to this now, he'd bring up his numbers and he'd say, listen, if it's based on numbers, I should be there. I just don't know where you draw the line with somebody who's already played 44 test matches and you say, well, you've had your chance. I'm not giving you an answer on that. I just don't know if after 3 years you say, yeah, you've had your chance already.
All right, fair enough. I'll just like to hear him more in the conversation, because I think he has a good chance if he scores some runs in the next 2 rounds. So that is why I brought that one. I have 2 more questions, and then I'm out of here because I know others are waiting. My second question is, in another video you mentioned Sunil Ambrish now in the middle order. Sunil, as you said, many persons want to kind of write off his career. He's old. He shouldn't go back into West Indian colors. And if we look at his numbers, Ambrish is doing well. But the problem we're having now is Kavem Hodge is doing well, and he did fairly well in Australia. Kevin Sinclair looks like he wants to bat at 5-6 up there as well. I know you've made a video again talking about Sinclair doing that rust and chase role, but I think he's a proper number 5, number 6. Brandon King persons are calling for. So I'm just wondering, how are we going to even if Ambrish continues brilliant run of form, how are we even going to get back a man in that has been putting up the numbers? And I think it's unfair for him not to get back in. So that's my second question.
This is how Sunil Ambrish gets into the West Indies test team for me. He won't go to England, I would assume not, because there's just too many people in that middle order already. Like, even if Justin Graves doesn't keep his place in the 11, he's going in the squad. To me, Justin Graves is the incumbent backup middle order batter, if that makes sense. Whoever it is and however they construct the side, he's in that particular, he's the backup. However, when South Africa come to the Caribbean after the England tour, Miles Bascombe told us that there will be a South Africa A team coming over as well. Well, Desmond Haynes will be out of a job by then. So whoever the next selector is, what they should be
hopefully
doing...
it's you, Mash. Hopefully it's you.
Yeah, exactly. I still haven't... Boy, they still haven't... no one's telling me how to get into it yet, but I'm trying. But whoever the next selector/selectors are, whoever makes up that A team that plays South Africa A should be all of the players that you believe are the next in line, if that makes sense. So positions 4 and 5 in particular should be the 2 players in the region that you believe you would call up next if there was an injury crisis. And one of those has to be Sunil Ambrish. So I think Sunil should be targeting at the bare minimum a call up to the next West Indies A team. I think he's already done enough to deserve that call up to the next West Indies A team. But someone has just put in in fact, it's just here. Arawak has said, put Ambrish in 50 over. And this is a different conversation. I wonder how flexible we are in looking at our Red Ball Championship and identifying as well who has the skill set to cross over into the ODI setup, because we can't wait until November every year to wait for Super 50 to decide who's a good 50 over player or not. You have to be pragmatic and say, well, we've just had a 4-day championship. Who was able to bat at a healthy strike rate in red ball cricket? And by default, that surely suggests to us that we can cross them over into the 50 over format. So they should probably be considering Ambrish in that sense as well.
Yeah, definitely. 100% agree. I love that. Hopefully we'll see him in the West Indies when South Africa get here in the West Indies a setup. But my third question.